Hi everyone, Amy here with an overview of the discussions in my English 121 course. I'm going to try to keep this under 5 minutes here and then head off and have my spring break. So just to start off with an overview of the discussions or the purpose of discussions in my course, I wanted to start by taking a look at the syllabus. There is a section on discussions on the fourth page or so. I do want to point out that we have two different types of discussions in my class, although we only do one discussion per week. The first type of discussion are the general kind of writing prompt discussions that involve a response to a prompt and then 2 replies and an end of week reflection. The other type of discussion are the peer review workshop that students do for every major assignment, and those occur the week before a final draft is due, usually, and they involve students posting a rough draft, providing in-depth feedback to just one of their classmates, and then again an end-of-week reflection. So we have these discussions for 2 different reasons, because there are 2 different types. The first type of discussion is meant to allow students to interact with each other in order to kind of grapple with course material and solidify their understanding of course materials. The workshop discussions, on the other hand, are more designed to allow students to actively engage in a writing process and a collaborative writing process at that. And so it's to show them that writing is a collaborative art and that revising their work is something that we're going to deliberately attend to in our course. As far as how they fit into the rest of class assignments, I'll go ahead and show you on my D2L page. We do have a discussion every single week, and so like I said, on the weeks when we have a peer review discussion, it would take the place of the writing prompt discussion. Let me just go into my modules and show you what a typical week looks like. So here we're in week 5. We have some lecture materials and some homework activities. This is a pretty light week since we're going into spring break. And you can see they just have 2 lectures to watch, they have a discussion to participate in, and they have a kind of guided note-taking graphic organizer that they complete using the textbook. Other weeks we have final drafts of essays due, or if we're beginning a new unit, we'll have some materials for that. So here you can see this is also a major essay that they're working on throughout this unit during week 5, even though you don't see that here. So again, the discussions are more designed, if they're writing prompts, to help students understand the concepts that they'll have to apply to their major essays. And then if they are a peer review workshop discussion, it's meant to actually allow them to get some feedback on their essays and help create a plan for their revision. Let's see. So I do the typical writing prompt discussions for our general class discussions that involve an original post, 2 replies, and then I add this third component, which is a final comment on your own original thread after your classmates have responded to you. So that is so that they can kind of synthesize all the feedback that they received with what they saw in other people's writing and kind of wrap that up or close the loop on that commenting process with a final reflection at the end of the week. And so I also wanted to point out here that I have 3 due dates, therefore, throughout the week. So their original forum posts are due on Wednesdays, their comments are due on Fridays, and their final reflections are due on Sundays, because our class weeks run Monday to Sunday. I also wanted to address the instructions that I give students for every discussion. I do that on a weekly basis in terms of the specific instructions for each prompt, like the one you see here. This is a general class discussion, and here's an example of one of the workshop discussions. As you can see, the feedback portion is much more in-depth here. But I do give students a rubric to work from that I use also to assess their participation in the discussions, and you can see I have different criteria for the general discussions versus the peer review workshops. And so there's just a description here of everything that they need to include through the whole process, from the original post to the comments to the reflection. And then I also provide them with a few tips for how to be successful, as in, doing some previewing beforehand, reading the conversation, making sure your post is in context, being timely, trying to encourage the discussion to move forward as opposed to ending your comments in a way that would wrap things up nicely, or asking questions to move it forward and that kind of thing. Proofreading and all those tips for good writing online in general, which we do spend a lot of time on in my class. And then going back into an example of a discussion, just to show you how they are assessed in my course, you can see that I do individual comments along the way. I might check in and provide a comment that would clarify or move the direction in a way that, or excuse me, move the conversation in a direction that I would like it to go. Let me see, here's an example of this, where I try to clarify something for the student. Let me see if I can find any others. Here's another one where I'm asking a question to try to kind of push this writer to go a little bit further. But then I also come throughout the week and pin comments for the entire class to consider. Usually I'll put in an additional challenge or something to say, here's a way to go a little bit further in addressing this week's prompt. And then I also do comments in the middle of the week that I usually post in the news, and then I always do a final comment that just focuses on the discussion itself, that involves a synthesis of everything I saw in the entire discussion for that week. I pull out some strong examples from students' work and highlight those, and then I also try to apply the concepts to whatever major essay they're working on at that time. So this is how I've been doing discussions for the past 3 semesters. In the future, I do see myself moving to a model where I split out the assignments into 2, with some open discussion as one component, and then writing prompts as another, because I can see after everything we've done in the last couple of weeks that I'm trying to do both, like kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, and it's not really working. So far, this is how it's been for me. In the future, I'd like to do things differently, but I really appreciate the resources we've been given by Eric, because those have helped clarify a lot of this for me. All right, well, I appreciate any feedback you guys have. Thank you.